Hi everyone, it's me, Andrea from Andy's Corner, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today because we are continuing on our crazy journey with Jacob in the beginning of the nation of Israel. So let's dig in. We are now in the middle of chapter 32 of the book of Genesis, and we just left off where Jacob was starting to send gifts to Esau as he's journeying home to see his brother who potentially who did want to kill him and might potentially kill him. Okay? So that's where we left off. So remember, he sent all the gifts ahead of him, and then it says that while Jacob himself spent that night in the camp. Okay? Then, verse 22. During the night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 servant wives, and his 11 sons and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he would not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. Then the man said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." "What is your name?" the man asked. He replied, "Jacob." "Your name will no longer be Jacob," the man told him. "From now on you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won." "Please tell me your name," Jacob said. "Why do you want to know my name?" the man replied. Then he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, which means face of God. For he said, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared." The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury to his hip. Even today, the people of Israel don't eat the tendon near the hip socket because of what happened that night when the man strained the tendon of Jacob's hip. Now, this is a really cool story because basically this is what is called a theophany. This is when God appears as a man. God himself appears as a man. He also did it to Abraham when he was with the 2 angels, but I think that was a Christophany, which is Christ. So I don't really remember. But I know that God does appear to Abraham as well. But this is God as God the Father. And why do we think that? For a few reasons. One, he says, "You fought with God and you have won." And then also Jacob says, "I have seen God face to face and my life has been spared." Now that's a very common thing throughout the Bible. You'll see if you see God's face, you're supposed to die because the glory of the Lord is too powerful and you are not even supposed to be around that you die. And many times God tells Moses to hide his face so that he will not die. He says, "Or anyone who looks upon me will die." He says, "Take off your sandals, for this is holy ground." So he tells his people many times, "If you see my face, you will die." But yet Jacob not only saw his face, but he wrestled with God. So another reason why I really love this story is because it's real. There's so many times in our lives when nothing makes sense or we're frustrated and we might not understand God's direction in our life, or we might understand God. Many times we have questions about God, and some people in some faiths don't even allow their followers to question God or the God of that religion. But our faith, we are allowed to question God. And here Jacob actually wrestles with God. Now, he wrestled with him physically, but sometimes we can wrestle with him mentally in our thoughts or understanding of his word, or emotionally just trying to understand, God, why would you do this to me? Or why is this happening to me? And you know what? God says that's okay. Come to me at least and wrestle with me. Because many times the enemy tries to separate you from the Lord. So if you're angry or mad or frustrated or sad, he wants to push you into other things, whether it be your cell phone or your best friends, something. He'd rather you go there first than go to God. But actually, if you're angry, the best place and the best person to go to first is God. He wants your anger. He wants your frustration. He wants your questions. And he will be there for you, and he will spend time with you to try to answer all the questions you have. And here he did touch Jacob's hip. It says what? They wrestled all night until the dawn began to break. That's crazy. And you might think like, well, if he's God, why couldn't he beat Jacob? I don't know. That's a good question. And I've never answered that question. But what I like about this is that this is the first time that Jacob actually fought for something without lying or conniving or manipulating. He won this wrestle match fair and square. Well, probably God actually let him win, because I'm sure that God could overpower him if he wanted to. But he allowed Jacob to win. And so I think this is such a good example for us when we want to struggle with God, or we are struggling with God. God says, that's okay. And I also love that Jacob demanded, Lord, bless me. I won't let you go until you bless me. And God did bless him. So again, I think that's a good example for us. We don't have to be afraid to ask God for a blessing or for favor. Obviously, we need to be obedient to him. And I think this was a turning point in Jacob's life where he's like, I've seen the face of God, and he might start changing his life to be more integrous, to be more honorable, to make better decisions. Well, he's still human, so we'll see how that plays out. But I think for us too, we can go to God and we can ask God those questions, and we can be frustrated. He may answer them, he might not, or he does answer them, but just not in the time or manner we expect him to. But that is okay. I still encourage you, go to God. And that's what this story teaches me about God, is that we can go to him with all of our emotions, and we can ask for a blessing, and that is okay. Sometimes you feel embarrassed to even ask your parents for, say, money, or maybe they'll get mad, or maybe they'll be like, I just gave you some money. But God says, come to me, ask me. Now, obviously with respect, and don't be like, entitlement, like you deserve something, because we don't. We're all sinners. But he is a God. And the other parts of the Bible say God, like a human father loves to give gifts to his children. Imagine more their heavenly father, the perfect father, how much more he desires to give you good gifts. So my one of my mottos in life is I will always ask, not only God, but anybody. If they're like, oh, you can't do that. Well, how do you know? Well, I don't know. You can't do that. Well, I'm going to ask. I have the gift of ask. So I encourage you to ask. Ask whoever it is. Hey, can I do this? Or hey, can I have this? Why not? The worst answer you could get is no. And who cares? You take the no and you move on, because God probably has something better for you. So be encouraged today. Know that you can go to God with your questions, even the struggles and the wrestling in your heart. You take it to him. He is ready and prepared to deal with you in any manner. So don't be afraid of him. Don't be afraid to come to him. He is excited to see you and spend time with you. All right? See you next time. Bye.